You ready? Here we go. And today is Tuesday, April the 2nd. I'm recording this using the new Freshy Fresh laptop, the new iMac Pro 2019 with the 8th generation blah blah blah. None of you care about that. Anyway, I was just going through some stuff here trying to make sure everything was hooked up correctly, and so far it looks like it is. So, anywho, I'm going to jump right into this bad boy and welcome you. Hi everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. A lot has gone on since our last discussion. I think the last time that we got together and had a podcast, I say we meaning you and me, you listened and I talked. I did it all with my phone because I was in the middle of trying to get one of my laptops to talk to the other one to get everything to load. Let me just text my wife. I'm recording a podcast. That way she knows what I'm doing in case she comes busting in the door like gangbusters. Hey baby, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? I don't know why she talks like a 70s black man, but you know, there you go. So anywho, I did not listen to my own podcast. I did not listen to me talk, and I was concerned that the sound quality was going to be really crummy, seeing as how I recorded the entire thing using my phone. I published it on my phone. It took me a little while to get everything loaded, and I couldn't even put the video up on the internet until after all of that stuff was done loading. So anyway, I got it all loaded. Everybody's good to go, and the video's up. So if anybody wants to watch that or listen to that, great. If you got any feedback, give me some feedback. If you're like, man, this doesn't sound like your normal podcast, then no kidding. So anyway, let's discuss some stuff that happened. Okay, this is the Stuff I Heard podcast. Then you can tell people, you know what I heard on the Stuff I Heard podcast. This past weekend, I got up early on Saturday morning, probably about 4:30ish, somewhere in there. And I got up, had some coffee, and got on the road and headed towards my dad's. My dad is in Elberton, Georgia. From here to there was about 3.5 hour drive. I got there just in time for breakfast. I called him when I was in the area and I said, hey, I'm about 20 minutes away. He said, cool, how you feel about some bacon? And I said, I love bacon. He goes, good, I'm going to start making some. So he made some bacon and eggs and some cheese, and it was fantastic. We had some coffee and it was nice. It was a nice morning. We then walked out and took a survey of the land and made a couple of videos of looking around at stuff, and we got together and I got some wood loaded up into the back of the truck and cut up, and then we went and decided to go for a boat ride. Now, in the beginning, I wasn't all up for a boat ride because I was thinking, I don't know if I have time to do that and get on the road and head towards Alex's, because Alex, my brother, lives in Greer, and from Dad to him is like an hour and 45 minutes. I did not know that because I was trying to Google it, and the internet does not work great at my dad's. Now, here's a question for all you out there. Do you have, what? Disk too slow or system overload? Hang on. Pause. Time out. Something to keep an eye on here. I got to keep my eye on this thing. I was in the middle of talking and all of a sudden my computer said disk slow or something. I don't know what's going on. Anywho, back to the regular scheduled program. So, at first he said, let's go for a boat ride, and I was like, I don't know if I'm into it. I mean, I'm thinking about getting on the road. The internet's not working too good. I wanted to ask you guys, is there a way to get internet if you don't have internet? Like if you're out in the country somewhere or you're camping. Do you have any idea of what I could suggest to my dad that would work good for them? And before you say, use your phone as a hotspot, well, they're trying to do that, but it's still not great. So we're looking for ideas for the campers, for people who live out in the country, for people who maybe don't have access to a cable running to their place. So give me some suggestions, give me some ideas, and I'll pass that information along. Also, I then thought about the fact of my last conversation where I said I don't really know what makes me happy. And I thought, why don't I go on a boat ride? Am I poo-pooing my own fun? Am I standing in my own way of having a good time? And I thought, you know what? Let's go for a boat ride. Sure, let's do it. So we went down to the lake and we got in the boat and we went for a boat ride. And where he lives is kind of a little lagoon cove area. There's nobody around. And it's sort of a place where there used to be a forest. It was a low-lying area and they flooded it. So there's trees that are standing up in the water, and you got to kind of avoid them as you're using your boat to get out of there. And luckily they have a nice sturdy aluminum boat. And Dad went pretty slow through there, and he kind of knows where they're at. And if you don't, you just sort of navigate them as best you can. So we made our way out of there, and we were able to get out into the bigger water, and it was nice. It was a nice day. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. We went around the corner to an area where we decided to do a little bit of fishing. Dad actually caught a small striped bass, and I tried to get it on video, and for some reason I thought I'd recorded it and did not. But he caught a fish, and we said hello to the fish, and then we set the fish free and let the fish grow up to be bigger fish. So he can go back and tell his fishing buddies about, I was abducted by aliens, man. They took me out and showed me into the light. Next thing I know, they was poking around in my mouth, and I was scared, but then they put me back, and now I have this weird tick, and every time I turn left, my mouth catches the side of the water like this. You know, like fish do. Not that that fish had that conversation, but I'm just saying, if the fish were to have a conversation, that's probably the way it went. So, anywho. I visited with Dad. We had a good time. We discussed going into Anderson, South Carolina, which is about 45 minutes towards my brother, and having some lunch. Apparently they had stopped and had some lunch a couple days ago for my dad's birthday at a place called The Hook. And so we decided to go there and eat lunch. And we went, and it was great. We had a good lunch. I got to watch a little bit of basketball on TV while we were there. And then I hugged necks and kissed them and said goodbye and arrivederci and such. And I got on the road and I headed towards my brother's. Got to my brother's at a decent time. We were able to go to the store and pick up some steaks for dinner. And got to visit, play with my nephew and my niece a little bit. And my nephew Caden is in that position where he talks a lot. He's learning to use words, and he wants to say all of them all the time. And he's just a bundle of energy. And my niece Scarlett is pretty shy and pretty quiet, but she'll grow into me. It'll take time, I'm sure. But anywho, so I got to visit with them and my brother's wife Michelle, and my brother's friend Dave's living with them right now, and his girlfriend Nell came up, and we just all got to hang out a little bit, watch some basketball on TV, watched a really good couple of good games in a row, and called it a night, and then headed back here on Sunday. So I got back home and I had this truck full of wood, and I was like, alright, I gotta get all this stuff out of the back of my truck before I do anything. But man, I really could take a nap. And I told my wife, I said, alright, I'm gonna get outside of here, I'm gonna put it in the garage, and then we'll go from there. So I got everything out of the back, and I thought, where am I gonna put this? So I've put this on my Instagram of where I kind of stacked them up in the corner. I didn't want to lay them down, because if I laid them down, I felt like it would just aggravate me to try and move things around over and over again to try and dig out the pieces I want. And I sort of felt like if I stood them up, then I was more apt to get to them easier, which makes sense, right? So I did that, and I had some errands to run, a little bit of grocery buying to do, and I think I did all that. I'm all confused on my days. I think I did all that. I may have gone grocery shopping yesterday. No, I didn't do it yesterday. I did it Sunday. I had yesterday off, though. I had a doctor's appointment, and I'm a little aggravated by my local hospital. Their payment system was down yesterday. Their computer did not seem to want to connect, and I went to do x-rays. I've got a little bit of kidney problem, and I thought it was possibly a kidney stone. I had set up an appointment in January, but they couldn't see me till March. So by the time March run around, I wasn't having any kidney pain. Everything felt fine. So I saw my doctor and talked to him about it, and I said, I just want to make sure that it's not something to be concerned about. I always heard people say that if you have something, it's always best to catch it early. So that's why I'm here. And he was like, okay, that makes sense. So he had scheduled this x-ray, and when they did the x-ray, they wanted money up front. And I was like, okay, well, here's my card. And their computer wasn't working. They said, well, I don't know what to tell you. We can't seem to get the payment right now, but if you go up to the 5th floor, they can take you up there. I thought, okay, well, if your system is down, why in the heck would it work here? Why would it not work here but work upstairs? But whatever, I'll go upstairs and we'll go through the routine. So I did that. I got my x-rays. I went upstairs. I tried to pay. They said, well, system's down. It's not working. I was like, okay, shocker. And he said, well, here, if he gave me a little piece of paper. He said, if you just call this one number tomorrow, you can pay it and still save this 20% for paying it on time. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I go downstairs and I go to my regular appointment with my urologist. And he tells me, he says, all right, so we looked at the x-ray and there is a little bit of something there, a little calcium deposit. And we can't determine exactly what it is. In order to look at it better, we need to do a CT scan. But, I don't really know that we need to since you're not in pain. He says, so we have 3 options. We can do nothing, which is fine. We can do a CT scan, which again is okay. Or we could just, we could schedule a surgery and remove it. And he says, which is a bit invasive and probably not necessary. And I said, well, I agree. I said, I don't have any problems right now. See, here's the thing. Because I told this to a guy today, and he was like, why didn't you go ahead and get the CT scan? I was like, does it matter? Does it matter? If I have a kidney stone there, and I pay a whole bunch of money for a CT scan to go, yep, it's kidney stone, they're not going to do anything. I still have to pass the thing. I still have to drink a bunch of liquids and eventually pee it out, or set up an appointment to have it surgically removed. I don't want it surgically removed if I can pass it. One's invasive and one is not. Well, the non-invasive way hurts like all get out, but still, it'll pass, okay? Why pay the extra money and spend the extra time and tie up all those resources at the hospital to do a CT scan? There's no need. So, my doctor and I talked about it, and we said, let's just wait. It's not causing me pain right now. Let's just let it go. Let's just keep an eye on it, and if it bothers me, I'll come back up here. He said, well, please let me know. I said, trust me, you'll be the second person to know. So anyway, got that out of the way, and kind of had the rest of the day off to relax. I talked a little bit on the last podcast about my sister's grandmother passing away. Well, we're having a memorial service tomorrow, which is why I'm recording this now. I wanted to do this today so that I could not do it tomorrow, if that makes any sense. Sometimes everything is about timing. Sometimes you just have to make time for the right things, and not everything needs to be done on a schedule, if that makes any sense. Sometimes the schedule is necessary, don't get me wrong, but this is something that doesn't. I can record a podcast today, I can put it out today, it's fine. It doesn't need to be on Wednesday. So tomorrow can be set aside for Mama June and her family. And I guess technically I'm part of that family because I asked what time I need to be there, and my sister said 1 o'clock. So I'll be there at 1 o'clock. She said family's around that time. I said, okay, I can do it. So anyway, I had some time off, like I said. When I got home Sunday night, my wife and I got into watching a movie on Netflix called Highwaymen, or The Highwaymen. I'm not sure if it's The Highwaymen or just Highwaymen. Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner play the two highwaymen, I guess you'd call it, former Rangers who caught and killed Bonnie and Clyde. Now, the movie is done really well. It has a lot of factual stuff in it, and a lot of old-timey. If you watch the whole thing, at the end, there's actual photos of the things that happened. And I even saw a behind-the-scenes thing that said that the final shootout that they portrayed on screen was the actual place where the shootout happened, in the actual spots where the people stood during that time, where Bonnie and Clyde were killed. Now, a lot of people glamorize Bonnie and Clyde as being this, larger-than-life, grand, beautiful scenario of a man and woman in love, and they just happen to be robbing banks and giving money away and that kind of stuff. And And some of that is partially true. But it's also true that they were brutal murderers. I mean, they just straight up murdered people. Just because they wanted to. Because it made them laugh. Because it was funny. Or because they were in the way. They murdered a lot of people. And to the point where it was seen as necessary to not arrest them, but to kill them. And that's exactly what these two gentlemen did. Spoiler alert. Go watch the movie, though. My wife made a comment. She said, it's amazing what these two actors can do when there's not a lot happening on the screen, that just their presence keeps you glued to what's going on. And she's right. There are certain actors that can do that, and both of these guys are actors who can do that. They don't have to be doing much, but you can't stop watching them. So, anyway, go watch that. It's good. It's great. So having the day off yesterday, after I got the whole doctor's thing out of the way, I did get up early like I was going to work because my brain's broken in that regard. So I started watching the new series on Amazon Prime called Hanna. Now, some of you may have seen this promoted. There was a movie, I think modeled after a book, about, I want to say it was like a Russian thing where they were taking these babies from birth and genetically modifying them in some way and then training them their entire lives to be these super assassins. And the idea was that they were going to be like these sleeper cell kids that they could just at a moment's notice be turned into these super assassin people. That nobody could suspect that it was kids doing whatever it was they were doing. No, I think that was the idea of the movie. Anyway, the series is different. The series is slightly different. You know, if you see the previews, you'll kind of get the gist. This guy takes a baby who's in this program and goes into the woods and basically trains her. And you don't know exactly what's going on for a while. You're not sure why he's doing it or what the circumstances are, but you learn. And she is awesome. Whoever this girl is they got playing her, she is really good. The main guy in this, I kept looking at him going, God, he looks familiar. Where have I seen him? There were so many scenes where I kept looking at him and thinking, dude, I have looked at you a lot on TV and I can't remember where. And then I looked him up, and as I'm looking him up on Google, it dawns on me, even before the image comes up, he was in a series on Netflix called Altered Carbon. He was the main character. And I was like, oh, that's that guy. He's like a Swedish actor, real handsome, hunky-looking guy, throws a good punch, takes a good punch, you know, that kind of fella. So anyway, it's a good series, a lot of good actors, good storyline. There is a interesting female lead character in here that you're, even from the beginning to the end, you're not sure if she's a good guy or a bad guy. And they end, I watched all episodes of this, by the way, and at the last episode you're still not certain whose side she's on. So you can see where there's going to be a season 2. They've led it up to it, and it's fantastic. It is fantastic. So if you want to watch something like that, go check it out. I highly recommend that as well. Also, last night, I watched the Top Gear, the latest episodes of Top Gear, and those guys are always fun. But last night, I got to giggling out loud because they were in these cars driving around a racetrack, and they were all like trying to time themselves to see who had the best time. And when they got done, they were all like talking about it. And apparently Jeremy Clarkson gets this little piece of paper and it says, our producer has said that you guys have done okay, but let's see how you do with a full bladder. A lot of people drive faster with a full bladder because they can't wait to go to the bathroom. So he had them drink 3 glasses of water within and then wait 20 minutes and then go race around the track and see if their time got better. So it was funny. As they're racing, you hear them, oh, I really gotta go. Oh, this bump, oh no, you know, and then they get done and they rush over to the bathroom, and one of the guys in there and the other one comes up there and he's got to go really bad. He's like, come on, open up, you know, and the third guy comes strolling up really slowly and it's like, why, you know, how are you not dying? And he goes, well, after I hit that second turn, I no longer had a problem. And he turns around and his pants are all wet in the front. And of course, that's probably all staged, but it was still hilarious. The way they did it, I was in the living room laughing out loud, and my wife was back in the back she was coming out of the shower or something, and she'd been at the gym, and she was like, "Is it good?" I was like, "Yeah, this is funny. The way they did this is real funny." So, Grand Tour. It's a lot of you guys might know them from the hit show on BBC, Top Gear. Same guys, Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammonds. It's good stuff. Really good stuff. So, anywho, excuse me. So yeah, let's talk about things I heard, not just stuff I've seen. But I've been listening to some podcasts since I had some travel time on my hands. I talked last episode about listening to Dr. Drew After Dark, and how Bert Kreischer was, I think, episode 6. So after I listened to that, I thought, well, I dig Dr. Drew. I kind of want to hear some more. So I went back and I subscribed and listened to the intro. The first one's with Christina Pajinski. The second one is with Tom Segura. They're a married couple. They also have a podcast called Your Mom's House. Tom Segura and Bert are actually best friends. Both of those are great. Episode 3 with Bobby Lee. Some of you guys may remember Bobby Lee from Mad TV. Episode 7 with Chris Hardwick. A lot of you guys may know Chris Hardwick from The Nerdist, and the Nerdist channel, and the Nerdist podcast, and the Nerdist Empire. He's also doing game shows now, and he used to do Loveline with Dr. Drew at a certain time when Adam left. So that's really good. And I'm listening to him with Brian Redband right now. And I got one after that with Steve-O. So there's 7 of them right now up, and they're all about an hour long. It's a good, easy listen, and it's fun, and it's entertaining, and I think part of the show is tied into Your Mom's House, because they talk about stuff that's on the show, and I guess producers save video clips and show them to Drew, and he freaks out a little bit because a lot of them are disgusting. And part of the fun of the show is the fact that Tom Segura thinks it's hilarious, and so does Christina. So they want to gross Drew out, and they do. So it's good. It's funny. I was telling my brother about listening to Joe Rogan, the episode with Ron Funches, and I finished that one. That one was really good. And he was like, "Oh yeah?" He goes, "Well, listen to the one before that with Lindsey Fitzharris." And I was like, "Well, who's Lindsey Fitzharris?" Dr. Lindsey Fitzharris is an author and medical historian. She is the creator of a popular blog. I'm not even going to pronounce this. I'm going to try. The Chirurgeon's Apprentice. Chirurgeon. Chirurgeon's Apprentice. And host of the YouTube series Under the Knife. Her book, The Butchering Art, Joseph Lister's Quest to Transform the Grisly World of Victorian Medicine, is available now on Amazon. She was interesting. She was very interesting. She talked about the history of medicine and how, in a lot of ways, Joseph Lister was part of the process of making things better for surgeries. And if you've had a surgery, or if you're having a surgery, whatever, listen. It's a very interesting listen. She's very fun to listen to. She's very informative. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to be entertained. Which, I mean, let's face it, that's why we all listen to Joe Rogan, right? That and to be part of the cool club. I mean, come on, right? Right? Are you with me? Huh? So, anyway, that's it. That's all I got, man. That's all I've been listening to and watching and doing, and man, I've been busy. I feel like the next time I get on here, you guys are going to be like, "So what now?" And I'll be like, "I haven't done anything." But the truth is I'm not going to do anything the rest of the day because it is cold outside. I mean, we've had days of spring where I was wearing shorts. Today, right now, it's 38 degrees and raining. The high today is supposed to, at some point, to get up to 51. But it's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When is it going to get to 51? 6 p.m. Yeah, okay, we'll see. We'll see. Tomorrow's supposed to be 70, and Thursday's supposed to be 74, and by Monday it's supposed to be 82. So maybe this is the last blast of cold. But let me tell you, it was cold and wet out there today. I mean, some of that 40-mile-an-hour wind off the coast, wind blowing sideways, the rain pelting you inside your ear canal. Ugh. I could not wait to get off work and come home and get in the shower. Thank goodness I didn't have to get on a truck today. I was happy to come home and get a nice warm shower and kind of just warm up. I was asked one time, my boss asked me, he said, what do you like most and least about your job? And I had a lot of things to list about the things I like the most. And he says, what do you like least about it? And I said, I hate working in the rain. I'll just be honest with you, nothing I like about it. Usually it's cold and wet and gets your cold all the way to your bones and you can't seem to shake it. It just makes you feel like garbage. And then when it's hot, I mean, it just makes you feel sticky. And again, it makes you feel like garbage. I just don't like working in the rain. Of course, thank goodness we live here in South Carolina where it doesn't rain a lot when you're at work. I mean, you figure 365 days of the year, it rains maybe 40-something days of that. And of the work days is maybe 20-something days of that. That's not so bad. That's, you know, the average of things is not so bad. You're like, alright, could be worse, right? Could be in Portland, Oregon, where it rains all the time, or Seattle. So, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the podcast. I appreciate every one of you. You guys really responded to the whole subscribe to my dad thing on YouTube, because he grew over 100 subscriptions in like a day, so I don't know if I had any part of that, or you had any part of that, or word of mouth somehow got out, but I appreciate all of that, and thank you for getting him over the hump of 26,000. And I commented on my video about only one person watched it, now 2 people have. So, there you go. How about that? I don't know why people are so anti-man crate. But anyway, y'all take care, thanks for listening, and we'll do this again before you know it. Bye now. Bye to you too.